Did you know that we can create accordions using native HTML and CSS without the need for any JavaScript or any ARIA information? And we can also control so many properties, like we can determine which one we want to be opened on page load. So right now is the first one opened on page load. The other thing we can determine is if we want all of them to be exclusive so that only one can be opened at a time. So now right now, see, the first one is open. When I try to open the third one, the first two close and the third one is open. So all of these was done using just HTML and CSS. No JavaScript was involved. And it is also keyboard accessible. If I tap to it, I press the tab key, I'm now focusing on the first accordion item. If I press the enter or spacebar, it opens that accordion item. If there was going to be a link in there and I press the tab key, it will focus on that link. But right now there's no link. So if I tab, it will go to the next item. I can press the enter key or spacebar. That opens it. If I press the tab key now and there's a link inside, it goes into that link. So that's the same thing for the third one. All of this is done using native HTML and CSS. Let's go ahead and inspect the code. If I right click and then I'll choose inspect. And you can see the code is so clean. All that we have here is just the details and the summary. The summary is like the heading. And then underneath the summary, we now have all of our content. So let me open this first one. See, this is the summary. This is the content, and the entire thing is the details. You see that there is no ARIA, any information here. Everything is done natively in the HTML. The only two things that we need here is, you can see, we have the name attribute and the open attribute. And that is all we need to control, whether we want all of them to be exclusive or we want them to be independent of each other. So this is the things that are required. Some of these things don't have full support yet for browsers, but hopefully before the end of the year, we should have full support and we'll be able to use this natively in our day-to-day life. So we have the details and the summary tag. Then we need the open attributes and the name attributes. Basically, all we have to do is just give all of them the same name. Once you've named all of them the same name, then they are now grouped together as one component. Then the other thing we need to do is, when we want to try to style this content area, before it was difficult to style the content area, but now we have this pseudo element called the details content, which will allow you to style the content. And this interpolate size just is what gives us the ability to animate the accordion going from 0 height to the auto height. So yeah, now let's go ahead and see how easy it is for me to change it. I'm doing some demo testing using dynamic shortcodes, but it's not necessary here. This is just for me to quickly test everything. So see, if this name attribute is not included, so let me go ahead and delete the name attribute. And I save it. Now, if I go back, you notice that it is now disconnected. So the first one is open. If I open the second one, both of them are disconnected from each other. They're no longer mutually exclusive. So the other thing is, which one do you want to open at a time? So the current example is the first one is opened on page load. If I refresh the page, you see that the first one is opened. If I want it to be the second one to be opened on page load, I just come back to my code. And then I just say the opened one should be the second item. We'll publish it. I'll show you the HTML on the front end. If you go to the HTML, see the second one is open. If you go to the HTML, inspect it. All that is happening is that I'm just giving the open class. So you see the details have the open class. That's all. And it is fully accessible. We'll test it with NVDA screen reader now. One nice thing about it is that you can actually add heading tag inside of your summary. And from what I have tested, it works with screen readers. The headings will be listened to by screen readers. Let me go ahead and test it out. So I'll come over here and let's turn on NVDA.
Pane, 2 Chrome detail/summary. Accordions test conscious business code. Banner landmark primary navigation landmark main landmark testing accordions heading level 1. 1 Elementor nestable heading level 2. 2 Chrome detail/summary heading level 2.
So now I'm here. Let me now press the tab key and you see it will focus on the accordion item.
Item number 1 heading level 3 button collapsed.
And see, it tells us the button was collapsed. Item number 2, heading level 3. If I go to the next one, I press the tab key because it's closed. I'll just go straight to the next item.
Item number 2 heading level 3 button expanded.
See, item number 2, which is the heading title. It told me heading level number 3, and then the expanded. That means it is opened. So if I go back again, Shift Tab.
Item number 1 heading level 3 button collapsed.
Same button collapsed. If I press the space bar,
expanded.
It tells me it's expanded. So now that it's expanded, there are 2 things I can do. If I want to read the content inside, I can just press the arrow key, so arrow down. That is the standard way NVDA reads item on a sentence by sentence base. So I press the down arrow key.
This is the content for the link first item. It is filled with some placeholder text.
Okay, so you see it read the content. On the other hand, if I let me go back.
Button expanded heading level 3 item number 1.
And I press the tab key, it should go to the focusable element inside of the accordion because the accordion has been opened. So tab key.
First item link.
And that works. So this is how it should work. And you notice that I did not use any ARIA anything. But yet, if I press the number 3 key, because all of these headings are heading level 3, if I press the number 3 key,
item number 2 heading level 3 button expanded.
That means it is recognizing that there is a heading there and is moving to that heading level. So the headings are recognized, the content is recognized, the focusable elements are recognized, everything is recognized without having to do any JavaScript or any ARIA information. So now let me go ahead and close it.
Exit NVDA.
But now here comes the problem. We'll now go ahead and test the Elementor's accordion. There are just some bits of information that I think Elementor should take note of to improve the accordion because they've chosen to go with the details and summary tag. First thing I will see is, let me use the keyboard interaction. I'll press the tab key and see I focus on the first item. So now if I press the tab key, as you go to the Daveden's link, because that is the one that's open, so tab key, okay, that works. And let me press the tab key again. That should now take me to the item number 2. But watch what happens. It doesn't. If I go back, it goes back to this link. So it skips these 2 headings and then goes straight to the next focusable element, which is not correct. And that's because Elementor is, I think, they are mixing up some things together. They are mixing up the tabs component with the accordion component. Those are 2 separate components. Tabs, you have a list of links at the top, and then the content is in a different section. But in this case, we just have the button and then content, button and then content. So we don't really need to be doing any kind of changing of the way the keyboard controls work. Because what they've done is that they've switched the controls to using the arrow keys. And those are only meant for when you're using tabs. Because the tabs, the reason why we switch to the arrow keys for tabs is because the list of links is on a separate section from where the actual content is. So we're trying to now allow the user to still be able to easily navigate. But in this scenario, everything is in the order in the DOM. So we don't need to change the way the keyboard interactions work. So that's one thing that Elementor need to do. The second thing that I think Elementor should do is, let's recap. So basically, the first thing Elementor should do in terms of their keyboard interactions is they should basically make the tab keys to work. So if I tab from the accordion title, you should go to the focusable element within the panel. If I press the tab key again, you should go to the next accordion title and so on. So what is the problem is, if I inspect it, the problem is just simple. It is the use of this tab index. They don't need to apply tab index to the details and summary. So in terms of the arrow keys, I agree with the way they've set up the arrow keys, whereby this is supposed to be optional, but it's quite nice if you use the up and down arrow to quickly navigate through the heading title. So that is actually recommended as an optional way of navigating. But that should not be the primary way of navigating, because you are now going against user expectation. So the second thing that I would like them to do is literally get rid of all of this ARIA, everything they did here. So in fact, they need to just get rid of all of these attributes that they put. The classes and the IDs, those are enough. All of this ARIA information that they're using is not necessary. So the ARIA controls, ARIA expanded, all of the things, they're not needed, because it is natively supported in the detail summary tag for expanded, collapsed, and then the button role and everything is already natively incorporated into the details and summary tag. The other problem I noticed, which still goes in line with this ARIA information, is they are using ARIA labeled by. Usually, we like to create an info relationship whereby the button is given an ARIA controls, which is linked to the panel that it controls. Then the panel is given an ARIA labeled by linked back to the button. But in this case, what Elementor is doing is they're saying ARIA labeled by, but the ID that are supplying to the ARIA labeled by is the ID of the details itself. It's kind of like saying someone asks you, what is your name? And rather than just saying David, you start to say, my name is David, I am the XYZ and DDD and JJJ. That's not what the person asks for. The person asks you, what is your name? So all you have to just do is supply your name. How do you supply your name? Is by giving the information from the summary. That is the name. But like I've already shown, that everything is already natively supported in terms of the accessibility. So you don't need to start forcing this ARIA information onto it. So Elementor should just get rid of the ARIA information that they're using, and they should also change the keyboard interaction to be the default. They don't need to mess with or modify the keyboard interactions. The only thing they can do is they can possibly add as an optional way to use the arrow keys to jump between the accordion titles. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please do leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.